What's up, motorheads, and welcome back to Gearbox Pizza. Got a different kind of EV to talk to you about today. One with no wheels, but as with all things in life, as long as you need a crash helmet to operate something, we're interested. So from this little shop in Silicon Valley called Pivotal, this is the Helix, and you don't need a pilot's license to fly it, which is actually a pretty big deal. And you don't need an airport or a runway, which is even a bigger deal. So what exactly is this thing? Well, the Helix is a single-seat, all-electric eVTOL or EVTOL, meaning electric vehicle takeoff and landing, that's designed for personal use. It qualifies for the FAA Part 103 ultralight aircraft, again meaning it doesn't require a pilot's license to operate. This classification just makes things way more accessible. If you ever looked into just how difficult, expensive, and time-consuming it is to get your pilot's license, yeah, again, this is a big deal. Thrust happens thanks to 8 propulsion units, each consisting of high-performance batteries and an electric motor, all while being made of super lightweight carbon fiber composite. And with 8 propellers, well, gotta say, I like the physical redundancy. And I'm gonna keep looking into this, but I wonder how many can fail while still giving you, well, the control to somewhat safely land this thing. I mean, the odds of 1 failing are probably pretty tiny, and the odds of 2 failing have to be sort of crazy, and more than that, it starts to get into like back-to-back lotto territory. But even if all that does happen or some sort of catastrophic issue arises, there's this ballistic backup parachute that'll save your butt. That's actually amazing. And speaking of safety, the flight computers and hardware, well, they built out this triple redundant flight control system. Additionally, there's cameras that allow this thing to actually take off and land all on its own. Wow. There's also a detailed training program at their Palo Alto headquarters that all potential pilots can go through. All right, so let's not beat around the bush anymore. Let's get right to the specs. And on their website, Pivotal has sort of this eligibility check that does give us a little bit of info. So this was designed for humans that are 6'5" or shorter and 220 pounds or lighter. So offensive linemen, I'm sorry, this just ain't for you. You gotta be 18 years old and you have to fly this thing in the US, but not over congested areas and not close to airports. Pivotal also wants you to keep this thing under 5,000 feet, but I'm not exactly sure how enforceable this is. Maybe there's some guardrails in the computer, but I'm just not sure. But also 5,000 feet is probably plenty high enough. When assembled, which you can do yourself relatively quickly, Pivotal says, and I quote, "From storage to flight in 30 minutes. Well, the footprint is a bit under 15 feet wide and 15 feet long, and it stands at just under 6 feet tall. But when disassembled, it'll fit nicely into a 16-foot trailer. And like I said, it's made out of carbon fiber composite, which keeps the weight in check, and even with all that carbon, it's actually pretty surprisingly light at 250 pounds, so far so good. But now onto the range, and I'll admit I was maybe a tad disappointed. So while maintaining a 20% battery reserve, this thing will go about 20 miles, or a little more depending on the wind and weight and all that. This is in part because of its, well, relatively small battery, 8 kilowatt hours. And that's where we smash headfirst into the big issue with batteries. They're heavy. I mean, like really heavy, really heavy. With advancements in solid-state batteries happening just even more quickly than any of us thought possible, batteries are getting more energy dense and in turn lighter. And this is big news for cars, and more energy with less weight gives way to these mega range numbers we're going to see in the short future, but also makes lightweight sports cars a possibility. But it really makes a big difference in aviation. It won't be too long before range numbers like this double or even triple, so keep all that in mind. But in reality, 20 miles is probably just fine for something like this. I'm betting most people will be using this thing almost exclusively for fun. Although, if you happen to live in like that Goldilocks zone where you're rural enough and your office is less than 20 miles away and you live someplace that has just plenty of really nice weather, well, just how damn cool would it be for this thing to be your commuter vehicle? Dude, now we're talking. And then there's charging. From a basic level 2 charger, they're saying 20% to 95% in 75 minutes or 4.5 hours from a regular household outlet, so plenty of time to charge comfortably. All right, so leaving the bad news till the end, and that's the price. Yep, starts at $190,000, which is a lot. Sure, but think about what you're getting here. I mean, this in some ways is meant to compete with weekend toy sports cars. I mean, another way to look at it is, well, it's as expensive, if not cheaper, than I think any new McLaren. It's way cheaper than any new Ferrari and most Lambos, and look, it's even cheaper than a lot of 911s. So anyway, Pivotal has this thing broken up into 3 different package options. So there's the entry-level package 1 coming in at 190 grand, as we said, which is fine and all, but it's gonna cost you another 50 grand to step up to package 2, which I think is what you really want. So what does that extra 50 grand get you? Well, you get some stripes on the cockpit. All right. And then the landing camera is upgraded from HD to 4K. Sort of wondering why that's not just standard, but moving on. The rest seems to be more advanced flying and communication equipment, which I'm thinking you're probably going to want. So it also comes with the level 2 charger, whereas package 1 only comes with a level 1 charger. Then there's the top of the line package. Yep, package 3, which basically comes with some custom paint and a few other things. I'm guessing that if you're in the tax bracket that can actually drop the cash for one of these things, you're probably skipping the first package altogether. So this is it. And there's a lot to like. In many ways, this could be a peek into the future, and I love all the redundancy and safety features, and man, just how much fun would this thing be to fly? If I had the cash, this would probably be way up there on my list, that's for sure. It's exciting, but what's really exciting is to think about where Pivotal is going to be in 10 years. One more leap in technology and a cut in price, and well, this is the future I was promised as a kid.